Folks, we are getting closer and closer to the beginning of Nebraska fall practice. We are almost there, and as the days go on, the Husker quarterback battle heats up. It is going to get absolutely crazy in just about a couple of weeks, not necessarily to find Nebraska's starting quarterback. We know who that's going to be, but to find our backup. So in today's video, I'm going to give you a big time update around that situation, what's been going on throughout the summer, how Jalyn Gramstad's been playing throughout not only spring practice, but in summer conditioning. Is he actually going to be our quarterback too? But what about Davila? Because he's been taking a big leap. I have some scoops there, why he's going to look completely different in fall practice. And then TJ Lateef, he's a complete wild card, what you can expect from him in 2025, and everything else you need to know. So really quick, this is a big time video previewing one of Nebraska's biggest positional battles in the fall. Hit that like button if you're fired up. And also if you're a diehard Nebraska fan, join the family for daily Husker content. It's a no-brainer. Hit that subscribe button. Takes 2 seconds. Thank you so much. But without further ado, let's get into it. Previewing, in my opinion, Nebraska's biggest positional battle of the fall. Not necessarily to find our starting quarterback, but to find our backup. Who's going to be our quarterback 2 and quarterback 3 for the Big Red? And I know right off the bat, I'm going to get some comments from people who say, this doesn't matter. We already know that Dylan's the guy. Why would we even care who our backup's going to be? Well, it's because that if you look in the past 10 years for Nebraska, time and time again, our backup quarterbacks have played meaningful snaps because we have a tendency for our quarterbacks to get injured. Not last year. We had some good health last year, but in every single year after that, in 2023, 2022, 2021, and you go down the list, we've had backup quarterbacks start in meaningful football games and play a bunch of big time snaps that, either won or a lot of times lost this football game. So it's very possible that, God forbid, Dylan Raiola will go down with injury this year, or we'll miss a game, or we'll miss a couple of snaps, or we'll miss a drive, and our quarterback 2, or maybe even our quarterback 3 will be thrust into action. So it's important that we know who that's going to be and if they're going to play at a high level. So let's get things started with this battle. Who's going to be our quarterback 2? What's been going on throughout the summer? I want to get things started with the leader in the clubhouse, the guy that the coaching staff continues to hype up, none other than Mr. Jalyn Gramstad. Now, Jalyn Gramstad's somebody who right off the bat, I'll start off with the pros. There's a lot to like around him. He's a winner, and he's somebody who's a complete leader in this locker room. He's kind of like a sideline coach where he's going to be a coach after his final year of eligibility. He's 6 foot tall, 200 pounds. He's a dual threat quarterback. He can make plays outside the pocket. So there's a lot to like around Jalyn Gramstad. There's a reason why the coaching staff, they were begging for him to come back because they believe he could be one of the better backup quarterbacks in the country. But honestly, when it comes to Jalyn Gramstad, I'll be very honest with you. He's never going to win you a football game. Okay, and again, he's a winner at the highest level. He won a state championship in high school. He was the MVP of all NAIA football. I believe he won a national championship there as well. So he's a guy who has won all the time. But in the Big Ten, that's a different story. And when you watch him on film, when you watch him, especially in these practice clips, he doesn't have the strongest arm, that's for sure. He probably has one of the weakest arms we've seen as a Nebraska quarterback in a long time. He's not somebody who was phenomenal. Actually, I saw him at the spring game, and they actually was not pinpoint to say the least. It's unknown whether or not he can read Big Ten defenses at a high level. It's again a big adjustment from going from NAIA to going up against Ohio State and Michigan, right? So again, there's a lot to like around Jalyn Gramstad. He's somebody who, in my opinion, is a high floor, low ceiling type of backup quarterback where he's a game manager at the very best, where you put him in the ball game. He's not going to make a crippling mistake. He's not going to throw an interception that's going to lose you it. But at the exact same time, he's never going to will you to a win. So, for example, I'll just throw an example. Let's say Dylan Raiola gets banged up, God forbid, and we have to throw Jalyn Gramstad out there for the USC game. We will lose that USC game because, frankly, we don't have a strong enough running game to rely on in order to win a big game like that. So we need our quarterback, especially in this Dane offense, to will us to a win. Jalyn Gramstad does not have the most talented arm in the world. He's just not going to will us to win at any point in time. But at the exact same time, if for example, if he plays our Northwestern game, he's not going to make a mistake for us to lose that game. So very high floor, low ceiling. In my opinion, you can do a lot worse than Jalyn Gramstad. But at the exact same time, you can do a lot better. You can do a lot better. And again, there's a lot to like around Jalyn Gramstad. He's a leader. He's somebody who's very important for Nebraska and very well play meaningful snaps. But in my opinion, and from what we've heard this summer, I think it should be the Purdue former 4-star quarterback, Davila. So let's just talk about what he's been doing this summer because there's a lot of nuggets around him. Right off the bat with Marcus Davila, we know that, again, he's a former Big Ten recruit coming to high school. He's somebody who is very similar to Dylan Raiola, where he's 6'3", he's about 240 pounds. Again, he's a bigger quarterback, but he can throw about 60, 70 yards down the field. A lot of traits that you really like. And one of the reasons why he chose Nebraska in the transfer portal is he believed that he was going to be developed at a high level. Dana Holgorsen, Robert Griffin III actually talked to them today. Nebraska's going to be the place for you because when Dylan leaves, you're going to be that guy. Heck, you might even be the guy if you play, very well in spring ball and in fall ball. So Marcus Davila, when I saw him personally in the spring game, there was a lot to like. Again, the traits flashed, the upside flashed, but I will say this about Marcus Davila. He threw a couple interceptions. The accuracy really wasn't good, and reading Big Ten defenses continues to be a struggle for him. But what I've heard so far in this summer is that he's just had a work ethic unlike what we've seen before. He's somebody who watches film every single day. He's put in the work. He's training with multiple quarterback coaches throughout America. The accuracy has been so much better. He's continuing to learn Big Ten defenses, getting ready for this season. Marcus Davila, he understands he has a big opportunity, right? And he's one of those guys who's so talented that he can will you to wins, right? If he was in that USC game, there's a very real possibility he could throw an interception that might lose you it. But at the exact same time, there's a very real possibility that with his arm talent, with his upside, he's going to will you to a couple wins as well. So with Marcus Davila, it's honestly just about putting together the accuracy. Again, continue to read defense at a high level, continue to build some confidence in himself. He's been great inside the locker room so far. He knows what the plan is, but I think there's some quiet confidence. I know some people are going to scoff at this, but I think Marcus Davila and a lot of people around his camp, they believe that if he gets in the game, Nebraska's never going to take him out. And I know that sounds crazy, but let's say, again, Dylan Raiola kind of struggles a little bit, doesn't really break out maybe to start the beginning of the year. Maybe Marcus Davila gets some snaps here and there because of a little injury. There is some confidence that Marcus Davila maybe would never give that spot back. And I know some people, that's probably ludicrous to most people. It might even be ludicrous to myself, but that's what he believed and a couple other people believe. And honestly, good for him. That's the mindset you should have as a quarterback because he was a former four-star with a bunch of high potential. I'm very excited to see him play, but I think honestly, he's going to be our quarterback too because he has so much higher potential than Jalyn Gramstad, where, Jalyn Gramstad, he's never going to win you a game. He's kind of like a Riker Fife in a way, a little bit better Riker Fife. Marcus Davila, in my opinion, is like a better Chuba Purdy. And Chuba Purdy was good when he got the ball game for Nebraska. So I'm excited to see what happens there in that quarterback battle. And then talking TJ Lateef here, like TJ Lateef's not going to be in competition to be quarterback too. I want to make that very clear. Like when I watched him in the spring game, it was very evident that he is still very, very raw. He's so naturally gifted, man. His accuracy was actually really good when I saw him. The dual threat ability is great. I mean, he had multiple plays where he got 10, 15 yards of pop run the football, getting first downs. So TJ Lateef, there's a lot to like around him. I will say, I do believe he plays in a couple of games. I think that maybe, again, that Cincinnati game, if we're blowing him out, he'll get in that ball game. He'll definitely get in the Akron-Houston Christian game, play a couple drives here and there. But TJ Lateef, somebody who I'm all about, again, buying into the process, understanding that, you're not going to play this year. You're probably not going to play next year. But if you do all the right things on and off the field, when Dylan Raiola leaves, you are going to be in line to start. Okay, and I believe that TJ Lateef, if he is developed at a high level, if he can just be bought in, he will beat out Trey Taylor at that point in time. And I love Trey Taylor, but I really love TJ Lateef too. I think they're both really good quarterbacks. I just need him to stick around. If TJ becomes complacent and says, you know what, I'm going to go leave after year one, I want to go back home to California, that's, I think, a huge mistake for him because he needs to trust that Dana Holgorsen is going to develop at a high level, that his time will come. There's just not many quarterbacks nowadays who start, as a true freshman or even as a true sophomore. Okay, you got to wait. You see that all around the country nowadays. So it's going on right now at Alabama, Georgia, Oregon. All these programs, they have quarterbacks who are about to start for them for the first time that have been waiting their turn. That's what's going to happen with TJ Lateef. So I'm just hoping that happens. I'm hoping he doesn't transfer. I don't know. But I'm just excited to see him play because, again, he has a game-changing ability. He has a dual threat ability that we just haven't had since Adrian Martinez. It's going to be very fun to watch him if and when he actually gets snaps this year. So just recapping this quarterback 2 battle, it's going to be very important who wins this because they get very well playing meaningful games and meaningful situations. We hope Dylan doesn't get injured. We hope Dylan lives up to expectations. But if that doesn't turn out to be the case, this quarterback 2 battle will have some strong implication to how good we're actually going to be. If you want my pick, I didn't think it's going to be Marcus Davila because, if Matt Rhule had his say, Marcus Davila would not be on the roster right now. But part of the reason why Marcus Davila is here is because of Dana Holgorsen. Because Dana Holgorsen looked at this quarterback room and he said, we need a guy. We need a guy here with high upside who fits this offense to a T, who I believe in. That was a Dana Holgorsen call. That was his guy. And Daniel Holgorsen has the command over this offense. So I think if Daniel Holgorsen has his say, which he will, it's going to be Marcus Davila, at least if he's developed at a high level. If Marcus Davila rolls into fall camp, he continues to have the same issues when it comes to accuracy. He's still very raw. They're going to go with Jalyn Gramstad. But I could very well see, even if that's the case, 6 games down the line, that might change. And Marcus Davila might get promoted to quarterback too. So I think that's the move. Jalyn Gramstad, I think he's a little bit too hyped up. He's just not talented. I'll make that very clear. He's just not very talented. And again, while he's a great leader, does everything right off the field, he's basically a coach on the sideline. It's very important for Nebraska to have him. I just don't think you want him in the ball game. I just don't think that's not a good thing. If Marcus Davila, if Jalyn Gramstad is playing meaningful snaps for Nebraska, we will likely not win that football game, to be very, very honest with you. So I think it's in our best interest to have Marcus Davila be that guy, but he's got to earn it. He's got to earn it. And that all starts in just a couple weeks. So, all right, guys, let me know your thoughts down below about this Nebraska quarterback battle. Who do you want? I have a feeling a lot of people are going to want Jalyn Gramstad. I just have a feeling. But let me know what you're thinking in the comment section. Hey, if you're this far, hit that like button and subscribe. As always, folks, comment, roll, and I'll see you in the next one.